Tonight, a former SNC executive guilty. From kickbacks to convict, the first guilty verdict in the corruption case against the construction giant. What to expect when the company itself heads to trial.
Everyone thinks it's ridiculous, and I think the pressure's mounting for the government to fix this.
A family demands answers after their 10-year-old is flagged as an airport security threat again.
We do. No, I do.
The Hallmark Channel pulls an ad featuring a gay couple kissing.
I love the game of hockey. I hate the institutions.
And changing the game. Former NHLer Daniel Carcillo was one of the first to speak out about abuse and bullying. Tonight, what he's doing to heal hockey. This is The National. Sami Babawi was a top executive at SNC-Lavalin. Tonight, he's a convicted criminal. The only SNC-Lavalin exec to face Canadian justice so far for trading bribes and kickbacks for lucrative contracts in Libya. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because the Montreal-based construction giant itself faces charges for fraud and bribery in Libya, still unproven in court. The efforts to spare SNC-Lavalin from prosecution and the pressure the Prime Minister put on his Attorney General, Jody Wilson-Raybould, were at the core of perhaps the worst scandal to hit the Trudeau government. Now, Babawi could face prison time for similar crimes in a separate case. And as Jayla Bernstein explains, Canada's reputation for fighting corruption is still on trial.
The case spanned multiple countries and more than a decade. But after just 3 days of deliberations, a Montreal jury found Sami Babawi guilty on all charges, including corruption of foreign officials and laundering proceeds of crime.
I think that the message generally is that Canada takes seriously its obligations and all offences committed.
Key to the Crown's case, star witness Riyad Ben Aissa, another former SNC executive. He testified that to secure lucrative construction projects, he set up a shell company to reward Libyan officials, including the son of dictator Muammar Gaddafi. He said that was all approved by Babawi, his superior, who pocketed about $26 million from the scheme. Babawi's lawyers argued those weren't kickbacks, but bonuses.
But it wasn't enough. The jury decided that Mr. Babawi was guilty.
Sentencing arguments are expected this week. Babawi could face up to 14 years in prison. The company itself is also due back in court this week for the federal case at the heart of a government scandal earlier this year. SNC-Lavalin lobbied the Trudeau government for a deferred prosecution agreement. The Prime Minister's office, in turn, repeatedly asked Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould to grant one, amounting to improper pressure and an ethics violation. Babawi's conviction doesn't mean that case against SNC-Lavalin is a slam dunk.
Maybe it gives extra confidence to the prosecution, but then again, we don't know what the exact story is for that second trial, what the evidence is.
But experts say this latest verdict does show Canada is doing a better job of holding companies accountable.
Since we first adopted an foreign anti-bribery law in Canada in the late 90s, we've had 4 convictions, and it shows a very bad record. We've had pressure from our international peers to be doing better.
That federal case against SNC-Lavalin is expected to go to trial sometime in the new year. In a statement, the firm said that it will not comment on court proceedings, past or present, and that it's focused on doing its business. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, Montreal.
Now, the ripple effects of the SNC corruption story continue. Later in the program, another group that's come under criticism in the wake of the Trudeau government's handling of the SNC-Lavalin affair. How should former Supreme Court justices use their legal stature to influence politics? That's coming later in the program. Okay, starting today, you have new rights as an air passenger flying in Canada, even on airlines that aren't Canadian. Just in time for the busy holiday travel season, the second round of government-legislated passenger rights are coming into effect.
It's just launching today, so we think we have to give it a bit of time to see exactly how well it's going to work, or indeed if it's not going to work well.
Flight delays are the focus. Now, if you're late by 3 hours or more to your final destination, you can get between $400 and $1,000 from large carriers like Air Canada, WestJet, Air Transat, and Sunwing. For a smaller airline like Swoop and Flair, you'd be eligible for between $125 and $500, but it'd be up to you to apply.
Even in obvious situations like a plane that's been canceled where everybody knows what happened, the carrier doesn't have to proactively reach out and offer you any compensation.
Now, if delays last longer than 2 hours, airlines must provide food, water, and a means of communication like free Wi-Fi. Also, the airline has to ensure you actually reach your final destination, even if your flight is canceled. But the big exception here, airlines will not have to shell out for delays or cancellations due to bad weather or sudden mechanical problems. But none of this helps one Canadian family. They have been repeatedly failed by another airline regulation, one that casts their young son as a potential terror threat. And it happened again this weekend. Natalie Nanowski spoke with his father.
Adam Ahmed loves the Habs, but to catch them on home ice, he has to catch a plane. And that's when issues arise, just like they did yesterday.
We couldn't check in online or at the kiosk. We had to go to the counter and they had to call security to clear him.
This has happened for 10 years, Adam's entire life, because his name appears on the no-fly list. His dad was so fed up about yesterday's holdup,
I turned the agent's screen and took a photo of it.
And tweeted it out, saying, "We hope at no-fly list kids the silliness and soon, Bill Blair." The Minister of Public Safety responded, apologizing for the difficulties.
His staff reached out right away, and to Minister Blair's credit, we are meeting with him on Thursday.
But the government had already promised to fix the issue back in 2016 when Adam's problem first came to light. It said then it was looking into a redress number system used in the United States. Basically a number in addition to your name that identifies you.
This shouldn't happen, and the fact that the United States has had a working redress system for 10 years, can't you just copy paste?
In an email, the government told CBC it has invested $81.4 million over 5 years to build a new centralized screening system. That should roll out late next year. But Suleiman says he's only cautiously optimistic, citing concern over a CBC News exclusive that Transport Canada took 10 years to investigate a racist song that was shared in the no-fly list office by someone who still works for the government.
So right now our confidence is shaken.
He's talking about the hundreds of families that are part of his group, No-Fly List Kids.
There are kids in our group who've become adults who are stopped, who don't go on basketball trips, who don't travel anywhere else.
The hope is that will change soon, so Adam and all the others can move around freely. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it is pretty much a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump will be impeached this week, becoming just the third U.S. president ever to bear that badge of disgrace. But as Paul Hunter tells us, very few people think Trump is in any real danger of losing his job.
As Donald Trump awaits the vote this week amid the near certainty he will be impeached, the impeachment process this weekend is what it has been: bitterly divisive, fiercely partisan.
I think this whole thing is a crock.
Republican Senator and Trump supporter Lindsey Graham.
I'm trying to make myself clear. What you're doing in the House is bad for the presidency. I hate what they're doing.
But at this point, there's little Republicans can do to prevent it. Democrats control the House of Representatives. They allege Trump abused the power of the presidency for personal political gain, and then that he obstructed the investigation into that. Democrats say Republicans who back Trump are ignoring the facts.
The American people deserve the truth, not political theater.
Presuming he's impeached, the next step is a trial in the U.S. Senate, which could lead to Trump's removal from office, though that's unlikely given the Senate is controlled by Trump's Republicans. So today from Democrats, a warning on that.
If the Senate Republican majority refuses to discipline him through impeachment, he will be unbounded, and I am gravely concerned about what else he might do between now and the 2020 election when there are no restrictions on his behavior.
Underlining the level of debate on all of it today, the president himself, who weighed in on Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who leads the impeachment process against him. After seeing this video from earlier in the week, with Pelosi listening to a question on impeachment, Trump, to his 67 million followers today, tweeted, "Nancy's teeth were falling out of her mouth and she didn't have time to think."
Okay, so Paul, can you take us through how you're expecting all of this to play out this week and into next month?
Yeah, well, for the moment, Andrew, the vote in the House of Representatives is apparently set to happen Wednesday. And despite there being little doubt around the outcome, it'll be high drama. And presuming it goes through, it'll leave a scar on the Trump presidency for the history books. Then comes the Christmas break. And in January, the trial in the Senate, where indeed it's expected Republicans will in turn vote to keep Trump in office. The real question, what do voters think? Short answer, the country is as divided as ever. Trump's supporters have largely held firm, so too those who oppose him, as both sides now also get set for the 2020 election campaigns to begin in earnest. In that sense, it's really all just getting started. Andrew.
Okay, the CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington. Thanks. In New Zealand, where it's already Monday, people are marking 1 week since a deadly volcanic eruption. The New Zealand cabinet observed a moment of silence at 11 minutes after 2 p.m. That's the precise moment 7 days ago when everything changed for the 47 people on White Island. Anita Bath is following the latest recovery efforts as we learn more about the victims.
Andrew, some disappointing developments on both those fronts. 2 more victims have died in hospital, raising the official death toll to 16. And a mission to the island has ended in frustration. Another failed attempt to find the 2 remaining bodies.
It is a body blow for us, and I'm confident it's a body blow for the families that are still waiting.
The water around White Island is contaminated by rocks, lava, and chemicals, making visibility 0 to 2 meters. But crews vow not to give up.
They'll go and have a bit of a debrief, but I tell you what, they'll be back up in no time in terms of their motivation to get the job done.
Those bodies that have been recovered are slowly being identified. They include 2 U.S. teens who were permanent residents in Australia, a 24-year-old New Zealander, and 9 Australians aged 15 to 53.
You always think you have time to say your goodbyes, and I didn't have time to say my goodbyes.
Many of the survivors are badly burned, and as they fight for their lives in hospital, an emotional Instagram post from New Zealand's Prime Minister. She says there are almost no words for the stories of both the aftermath and the loss that has followed. A sentiment felt by an entire nation.
It's really very real, and so that's why we're here, just to pay our respects, basically.
Recovery teams plan to go out as soon as possible, but because of those dangerous conditions, they've only been allowed to search for 75 minutes at a time. That also brings challenges. Andrew?
No doubt. Okay, thanks very much, Anita. Now to some other stories we're watching this Sunday night on The National.
We too, like so many, are disappointed that we could not agree to robust rules on Article 6 at this COP.
That disappointment refers to the failure to create an international carbon credit market at the UN Climate Summit in Madrid. There was agreement in the summit's final declaration about the urgent need to reduce greenhouse gases, but critics say delegates failed to achieve anything concrete and left many key issues until next year's summit in Glasgow. In New Delhi, tear gas flew as police stormed a Muslim university campus to break up the latest protest over India's new citizenship law. That law grants Indian citizenship to minority religious groups fleeing persecution in neighboring countries, but not to Muslims. Demonstrators say that violates India's secular constitution. Flash mob protests broke out at several Hong Kong shopping malls today. Bystanders watched as police scuffled with anti-government protesters. Things had been relatively quiet since the local elections last month that delivered an angry message to Beijing. Well, a TV ad for a wedding planning website is at the center of a growing controversy and calls for a boycott of all Hallmark products. Now, the ad in question features a same-sex couple, and when it ran on the Hallmark Channel in the U.S., that's when the trouble began. Tanya Fletcher takes us through it.
Do you think Zola could have made planning your perfect wedding easier?
We do.
This commercial had been airing on the Hallmark Channel during the peak holiday programming. The two brides kissing sparked a petition from a socially conservative group called 1 Million Moms. The network eventually ditched the ads but kept other versions featuring heterosexual couples. Hallmark has filmed dozens of movies here in the Vancouver area, including many Christmas movies. The network bills itself as family-friendly and says it pulled the ads because they were causing a distraction. A spokesperson for Hallmark says, "We felt it was in the best interest of the brand to pull the ads and not continue to generate controversy." But that only generated more controversy. Ellen DeGeneres tweeted at Hallmark, "Isn't it almost 2020? What are you thinking? Please explain. We're all ears." The decision quickly became fodder for comedians.
I'm Emily Kringle for Hallmark, reminding you to stay straight out there.
Ladies, relax. If your kid is watching the Hallmark Channel, he already gay as hell.
Other celebrities took aim at the group that complained. William Shatner tweeted, 1 Million Moms has 4,000 followers. I have 2.5 million, and my friends have more. Who are you going to listen to? They are not a majority here.
Because of social media, beware of what we call the tyranny of the few. That's a small group of people who look like they're making a lot of noise and pretending they're a big group of people.
This marketing expert says Hallmark was trying to appease their base audience, but removing the ads likely caused more damage.
Was it a strategic mistake? Of course it was, because they got a much bigger problem on their hands now, and that's called a whole bunch of alienated viewers who just might take it out on you by not watching your station.
Tonight, Hallmark apologized for pulling the ad and said it would be reaching out to the wedding planning company to reestablish their partnership and reinstate the commercial with the brides kissing. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Vancouver.
Bobsledder Kaillie Humphries is back on the track, and her first two races of the World Cup season could not have gone any better.
Kaillie Humphries is going to win her second consecutive gold medal for the United States.
Yeah, another big win for Humphries. But of course, if you've been following along, this two-time Canadian Olympic champion is now competing for the U.S. Now, her storied Canadian racing career ended after she filed harassment complaints against Bobsleigh Canada. But the program only granted her request to leave after months of controversy and more than a year away from competition. Devin Heroux met with Humphries to find out what it's taken to start over south of the border.
Ready? Yep. Kaillie Humphries on top of the hill again. Familiar territory to be sure, but never before in these colors.
I'm a rookie. One of the oldest rookies, I think.
654 days after her last competition, Humphries' new chapter is underway.
Kaillie, stay by.
Starting on the icy Lake Placid track, where she first learned to drive more than a decade ago.
I was pretty nervous going into this race, a lot of eyes, a lot of expectations, mostly on myself.
From the red and white, now pushing for the red, white, and blue. This is Humphries' new reality, competing for the country she challenged for years.
I think every time something new happens, there's always a reflective period. You're like, oh, this is different. And then it just kind of becomes normal. You know, life goes on.
Life has been bumpy for the two-time Olympic champion over the past 2 seasons. Away from the sport she loves, trying to navigate her future with Team Canada, then finding a way off of it to compete for the U.S.
It's really hard.
Just months ago, overwhelmed by emotion.
Should we move back?
Humphries said she felt unsafe on the Canadian team. She says it's very different now as a member of Team USA.
There seems to be a spark within you, a light within you. Is this Kaillie Humphries 2.0?
This is Kaillie Humphries in this chapter of her life. Again, my team has really brought that newfound energy. This is Kaillie competing for herself, for her new team, for a new country.
If there were nerves and rust having not competed for nearly 2 years, Humphries never showed it. Putting together 2 nearly flawless runs to capture World Cup gold in her return.
It feels a relief. Yes, let's go! It's exciting. It definitely is a bit emotional just to be able to be back. To have things work out the way that I would hope or planned is awesome.
But make no mistake, Humphries is eyeing the future now.
I want to win an Olympic gold medal. That's what I want, and so that's what I will focus on.
In the stars and stripes and golden again. Devin Haru, CBC News, Lake Placid.
Well, we have more news after the break, including from Canada's top court to private practice, how new rules could help former Supreme Court justices draw the line, and
you can't kick kids, you can't choke kids, and you can't use choice words coupled with the swearing when you want to try to motivate.
Creating a new hockey culture, how former NHLer Daniel Carcillo is using his experience to change the game. As you heard in our top story tonight, SNC-Lavalin still faces a trial, but the Federal Ethics Commissioner already rendered his verdict on the Trudeau government's handling of the case earlier this year. And also uncovered, by the way, a surprising fact. 4 former Supreme Court justices were enlisted by one side or the other to lend their legal firepower to what became a highly political affair. But part of the legitimacy of any court, especially the highest in the land, is that it should be walled off from politics. So Olivia Stefanovich brings us the latest effort to draw the line for Supreme Court justices who bring their public prestige to private practice.
Leaving the bench hasn't stopped Ian Binney from practicing law.
Can the criminal law?
But he always keeps in mind his previous high-profile position.
You can never lose the fact that you're a former judge, particularly a Supreme Court of Canada judge. That is really part of the baggage you carry around, so you have to be careful that it's not misused. Ian Binney.
For that reason, Binney says there's one job he took after hanging up his scarlet robe he regrets. A legal opinion given to the Harbour government about Quebec appointments to the Supreme Court of Canada.
I think if I'd been approached to produce a letter that the government would use as part of its public relations exercise, I would have refused.
Protecting former federally appointed judges from having their titles used for their clients' advantage is one of the new legal guidelines being considered by the Canadian Judicial Council.
The concern is, I think, about the public confidence in the administration of justice.
This legal expert welcomes the recommendation, but thinks Supreme Court justices shouldn't be allowed to practice after they retire at all.
There can be some concern that, again, there's an unlevel playing field, or those positions are being used to the business advantage of any particular judge.
But some former justices see nothing wrong with continuing on their legal careers, even in politically contentious matters like the SNC-Lavalin affair.
The Lavalin scandal, if you want to call that, has brought this up for discussion, and I think we're creating a problem that doesn't exist.
John Major is one of 4 former Supreme Court justices whose advice was sought in the politically charged case of the Quebec engineering firm.
There's nothing sinister about giving a legal opinion.
The Judicial Council is urging caution from former judges, but its guidelines, once completed, will be advisory only. It will be up to individual law societies to adopt them and give them teeth. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
Next on The National, understanding Indigenous homelessness, why the number of people living on the street is still so high, and how to turn things around. Plus, hockey's moment of reckoning. We hear from one of the players who was first to speak up.
You can't go to your parents with this because you want to get to the NHL, you know? You're not going to let a bully or an abuser stop you. I wasn't.
That was former NHL player Dan Carcillo more than a year ago, sounding the alarm about abuse within the Ontario Hockey League. Since then, the floodgates have really opened, and some of the biggest names in coaching at some of the highest levels have been forced out by their comments or their actions. Dan Carcillo retired from the NHL in 2015. Since then, he's been a tireless advocate for mental health, concussion survivors, and abuse. And now, a year after he first sat down with Ioana Remiliotis to talk about his experience in the OHL, they've met again.
Hey. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. Thanks for taking the time. You got a coffee?
Yeah, a little tea.
Yeah, we were all set up over here.
Great.
If it is a time of reckoning in hockey, a breaking of the ice, Dan Carcillo was one of the first cracks in the silence.
So Dan, I mean, when we first spoke to you, it was about a year ago when you came forward with your allegations of abuse that you had endured and that you had witnessed. Can you tell me a little bit about what's this last year been like for you?
It's been difficult to be a man on an island, but I also have a really great tool, and we all have a really great tool, which is our phones and social media. So I've used that this past year as my therapy to just continue my advocacy work and continue to speak my truth.
Carcillo's truth is scathing. Brutal abuse he says he endured and witnessed as a junior player with the Ontario Hockey League. Since coming forward, he's become a beacon. At last count, 400 people, many of them players, have reached out to him.
What are they coming forward with?
Just their abuse stories. Some of them are sexual. A lot of them are sexual because I don't think people realize, like, forcing somebody to pull down their pants in front of a room full of guys and getting paddled, that's sexual assault. That's not hazing, right? Getting pissed on in a shower and spit on, that's sexual assault, right? Getting taped naked to a table and then whipped with a belt, that's sexual assault. So I just want people to realize where the line is and what's happened to them, because then they can stop feeling guilty and holding everything inside, and they can truly start healing. As soon as you tell that story and you relinquish that story, even if it's to me, somebody that you don't know, a weight is lifted because you've told somebody. It's not in your own head.
They talk about a reckoning in hockey or a Me Too movement. Is there a tipping point that you're seeing now?
I think so. A lot of people talk about Me Too, and I refer to the Catholic Church because as soon as the Pope, Don Cherry, went down, and then Mike Babcock, who's a bishop, and then Bill Peters, then everybody's like, whoa. Yes, that was happening to me for years, and now these guys are removed. Wow. So if I talk, my words hold that much power. If I tell the truth, yes, they do. So tell the truth, and something will happen.
These guys pay for your way of life that you enjoy in Canada.
Holding abuse to account may have started with Don Cherry. The controversial host of Coach's Corner was fired over his comments about immigrants and poppies. And then came a rush of stories. Allegations of racism that forced former Calgary Flames coach Bill Peters to resign. Stories of psychological abuse that surfaced after Toronto Maple Leafs coach Mike Babcock was fired. And most recently, claims that Chicago Blackhawks assistant coach Mark Crawford kicked and choked players. His conduct is now under investigation.
There are lines that cannot be crossed.
The revelations prompted the NHL to announce mandatory diversity and inclusion training for coaches and a crisis hotline for team employees.
I mean, of course it's an acknowledgement. Do I think that players are going to call into a hotline? And the NHL is going to listen to their voicemails? Absolutely not. I mean...
Why not?
Because there's fear of reprisal. There always is.
Even if it's anonymous?
Even if it's anonymous. It'll still get back, right? Because that coach will know what he did. He'll know who he did it to. The whole room will know. And then he'll be removed, and everybody will know who it is.
So what's the answer, a third party?
Third-party investigators, for sure. Even for Hockey Canada. They've been shown, right? These organizations, in my opinion, have shown us that they lie, that they cover these stories up, and they lean on victims, right? So I truly believe the only way is a third-party investigation by a third-party organization, that doesn't get paid by the NHL, Hockey Canada, or the CHL.
Carcillo and Roussel. They're going to go. Pay for this.
Carcillo is familiar with toxic elements of hockey culture, not just as a victim of it, but also because he was part of it. As an NHL enforcer, Carcillo admits he embodied everything he is calling out today.
You've had some criticism, though, because you weren't you're pretty complicated too, right? You had your own
Yeah.
history as a bully. You say you've made racist remarks. So how do you kind of square that now in terms of what you're saying now and how people are perceiving you?
I was a bully, I was an abuser, I was racist, I was homophobic, I was all of those things, on and off the ice, right? But what people don't want to see is that I held myself accountable at 25 years old in the league. I kept getting injured, right? I kept getting traded. I wasn't a good teammate. My career was almost over. Philly didn't qualify me. And then I signed with the Blackhawks. That's when I met Steve Monador. That's when I got sober. It's when I held myself accountable. I got rehabilitated. In my last 5 years in the league, I went to the Stanley Cup Finals 4 times with 3 different teams. And I hate to quote Drake, but when you live the right way, your luck is a sure thing. And that's proof of it. But I did that in my career, right? And because I saw, I just took a step back, like, wow. I'm either going to continue to end up in more institutions, I'm going to be dead, or I'm going to get healthy.
Carcillo says he started healing, started becoming a better husband and father too, when he held himself accountable. And he wants more change.
Or when I need to go in.
He and other players are musing about a lawsuit, but he says he'd rather help create a new culture from within, from the bottom up.
And the reason I'd like to start in the CHL, specifically the OHL, is because that's where the majority of the abuse stories lie. And that's where these coaches come up, right? They come up through minor hockey. They come up through the Canadian Hockey League. They don't just start in the NHL. So where can we enact the most change? I truly believe it's in the minor leagues. And you propose programming that I truly believe would work, with former players coming in to talk to younger players, and coaches. Like, you bring the coaches and the players together, and you talk to them both about, this is what it looks like to be a tough coach, and this is what it looks like to be an abusive coach. And it's just human decency. You can't kick kids, you can't choke kids, and you can't use choice words coupled with the swearing when you want to try to motivate.
Repeating that message has become a form of therapy. Carcillo has joined forces with other players, sporting a clothing line that supports mental health programs. His toque is part of that brand.
So it's Ducky brand, founded by Aiden Gerdukis, and I noticed what they were doing.
What are they doing?
So they're raising money, selling apparel, and donating 30% of that to the Canadian Mental Health Association of Canada. And we're going to go out on a speaking tour in February.
The speaking tour, he says, will take him to schools, rinks, even the military. It will start in Ontario, and the plan is to go across the country.
So what's your message to young players today?
I guess the message would be, like, you're really special, right? Like, you have these really amazing skill sets that you can apply to hockey, and just know your worth. You know, just know your worth, and really, that's to players, and then to coaches out there, it comes down to human decency, right? If you wouldn't do it on a camera, mic'd up, on national television, probably shouldn't do it.
Are you hopeful that things will change, that this reckoning, that it's been called a reckoning in hockey, do you think it's going to stick and actually lead to real change?
I really do. Now, whether that change comes from the inside or whether I continue to do it from the outside, I really, truly believe that it will happen. It's already happening. There's so many people that have been empowered to tell their story. It's amazing. It's amazing, the healing. I know it's hard for the hockey community because it's super negative, but it's necessary. I love the game of hockey. I hate the institutions, you know.
Carcillo says he spoke his truth, and he promises to keep using his voice to help more people find theirs. Joanna Brumeliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
We want to bring you an update now on a story we told you about earlier this week. In Cape Breton last night, a young Mi'kmaq hockey player hit the ice for the first time since enduring racist slurs from an opposing team.
It feels good to be back out there playing the game, especially with my teammates, who are, becoming really close friends now. So it feels really good.
Logan Prosper faced racist taunts from players and parents on the other team during a game a week ago. He considered quitting the sport, but since we reported his story, he's heard from former and current NHLers who encouraged him to keep going. During last night's game, Players on both teams wrapped their sticks with red tape. It was a show of solidarity and to raise awareness about racism. Hockey Nova Scotia has started a task force to investigate last week's incident. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, inside Canada's homelessness epidemic.
1 in 15 for Indigenous people in Canada will experience homelessness at some point in their life. Compared to Canadians is 1 in 128.
Why Indigenous people are more at risk. My conversation with an advocate who knows firsthand what it's like.
Hello, I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, a year into being detained in China, what life has been like for Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Just the bums you see on the street, we're everywhere now.
Friday on The National, Nick Purdon showed us faces of homelessness in Canada's largest city.
None of my friends know that I stay in a shelter. 3 years now. So it's hard.
A sense of what 35,000 Canadians face every day.
What scares you living here?
The rats. Like the rats, okay, is big like a cat.
And a sense of their fight for a way out.
We know what to do, we're just not doing it. We got to start caring about people.
Tonight, we look at another part of the story. Author and scholar Jesse Thistle published an official definition of Indigenous homelessness in Canada, but he also lived it. I caught up with him at a downtown Toronto intersection that he once called home, and we began with a staggering statistic.
You know, when I saw the numbers for Indigenous homelessness, I was floored by how they compare to homelessness in the general population. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's 1 in 15 for Indigenous people in Canada will experience homelessness at some point in their life. Compared to Canadians is 1 in 128. So those numbers are huge. And then if you look at like the percentage of Indigenous peoples in the city, they make up maybe 1 to 3%. And in many cases, they're representing 30 to 40% of the homeless. So these numbers are huge, right?
And what's your best explanation for that gap?
Well, it's in the way that Indigenous peoples have been dispossessed of their lands, the way that their homes were targeted by state policy over time, and the way that funding is siloed. So it comes for on-reserve housing from the feds, from the federal government. And so people also travel for access to work and education. These are things that regular Canadians take for granted, and people from the north who are just trying to get health care come to the city and in the process to become homeless.
Can I ask you about your personal story? Because, I mean, you have firsthand experience with both of those issues. I mean, being Indigenous and being homeless.
Yes. I cycled in and out of homelessness for 10 years, and it was in the way that my family was dispossessed of our land, and we had what's called intergenerational trauma within our family that eventually saw my family dissolve and raised elsewhere in Brampton with my grandparents. But that initial trauma led to a lot of experimentation with drugs and whatnot in my early teens, which led to my homelessness in adulthood. And so you really have to look at the whole picture of my family's history to understand why I became homeless in my 20s.
And I'm trying to imagine what your life would have looked like while you were homeless. Can you describe that? Because this neighborhood was home for you, right?
Yeah. It's all around here. I have memories of places that I've been and slept and was traveling through. I could show you if you want.
Yeah. What are you talking about? So what
up here, I used to stay on the roof here. There's
this building right here.
Yeah, right here. This used to be a club, and I used to be able to climb up from the back, up on top, and stay on the roof, because it's safer to stay on the roof than it is on the ground level when you're homeless, right? And if you look around here, there's all kinds of clues. Like if you look right in here, there's blankets stashed away. Right. The way that people use the geography is different when you're homeless, right? I remember I used to come here and sell stuff when I needed money, and so all through here, although it's changed quite a bit from when I was here, there's still a lot A lot of the same things that are going on, right?
What's different about the neighborhood?
This is now a parking lot here. This is it's a Joe Fresh and our Loblaws now. Up here, I used to stay at. There was clubs here in the '90s that I used to stay at when I was like first homeless. I had to pay the entrance fee and be able to stay for 3 or 4 days, sleep on the floor, all through here. There used to be a dive bar that I could wash up over here. Right down the street, there's a McDonald's where I could stay at night if it was really cold. They don't disturb you, and you could wash up at Dundas and Bathurst there.
Does it feel a little bit surreal to be back here and to see all the old places?
Yeah, definitely. My stomach does flips, and I feel a little nervous and stressed out, you know. And I can't help that. That's a physical reaction to being down in these places.
And a lot must have changed, but a lot has stayed the same.
Yeah, well, it's gentrified quite a bit, but the homeless haven't gone anywhere. They're all around, right? You just have to know where to look. Some of them are visible, but the majority aren't.
How hard was it to live life that way?
You're constantly stressed out. Sleep it solves a lot of your stress issues, and so you're hyper stressed all the time. Worried about food, and if you do know where food is, you have to travel a long distance to get it. You're always worried about your stuff because there's no place to stash it that's safe. Yeah, it's just, I would say, stressful. That's the defining feature of it all.
And how did you pull yourself out of that?
Well, I used the justice system as a vehicle off the streets, a way to get into rehab kind of instantly. That was one of the ways that I got the help that I needed, because I tried for many years, but all the rehabs had long waiting lists. And so I just couldn't access them because I didn't have a place to access them from, right?
It must have been pretty hard.
Yeah, it was hard to realize that nobody really cared. That was the hardest part. And then, like, to be almost nameless in a lot of ways, you know? You're traumatized by the poverty of just having to move from place to place for your own personal safety, always trying to find food, trying to make appointments that you don't have transportation funds to get to, so it's very difficult just to navigate the city, you know, constantly, and never having the amount of rest that you need to be, you know, healthy and operating at like 100%.
So what does this country need to do?
The country needs to change the way that it looks at housing and property and stop thinking about it as a way to profit and realign it back to like seeing it as a dwelling or a place of home.
Because for you, a home means what exactly?
Home is love. Home is healthy social relations. It's a place to, it's a dwelling attached to a physical space, but primarily I see it as like healthy social relations where one can flourish. And you need a dwelling, but you also need purpose and you need love. And to me, that's the all-encompassing of what a home is.
Jesse, wonderful to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too, sir.
Okay, when we come back, celebrating a big milestone.
Happy birthday, dear Donald. Happy birthday to you.
And don't let the few candles fool you. Donald McDonald turned 107 today. His family shares his secrets to a long life. Next in our moment. This is Donald McDonald. He's from PEI, and today he is celebrating his 107th birthday. Now, McDonald was born on December 15th, 1912, 2 years before the start of the First World War. He's seen a lot in the last century plus, and today he spent his birthday surrounded by family, friends, and cherished care workers. His party is our moment.
Happy birthday, dear Donald. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
It's really fantastic. It's hard to believe. I don't believe he's 107. He's so funny and he jokes all the time. He's always in good humor.
I'll be in the second, Donald.
He always said they were farmers when they grew up and they ate well. They ate good food, no poisons in their food, and I guess had a little shot of gin once in a while, which kind of cures all, I guess. But hard work, they worked hard. He retired late in life, late 80s, mid 80s when he stopped working.
People of that age, you know, they just take it all in stride. He's told me that he's waiting for his 113th birthday, and it should be wonderful to see him.
107 years. Wow. If that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what would. Happy birthday to you, good sir. And I guess the beauty of life is that you never know if your best years are still to come. That's The National for this December 15th. Have a great day.